angry and irritable Shah Rukh Khan
Yes.
is the most hilarious things to watch on
I
screen.
know, exactly.
Second half of
K3G.
K3G.
K3G second half, dude, he is hilarious. I'm telling you, I watched it and I was like, that is my father. And I think that's
that is, you once made a comparison. You somehow compared me. I mean, we
you
won't put this.
also are
Yeah,
the
you.
yeah.
K3G second half, not Shah Rukh Khan and Kank. She's a chauvinist. I don't think I'm a chauvinist. At least I think.
You're not a chauvinist, but you are like, grumpy.
I am
like
grumpy.
And like anything you're just like, like some witty sarcastic response that I'm like,
that is very true.
भारत से आया है।
भारत से आया तो सर मैं बिठा लूं क्या? मालूम है भारत की आबादी कितनी है? सब लोग यहाँ आ गए तो हम लोग कहाँ सोएंगे? नहीं, मैं ऐसा करता हूँ, मैं हीथ्रो एयरपोर्ट चला जाता हूँ, वहाँ पर जाकर खड़ा रहता हूँ और जो भी भारत से आए उससे कहता हूँ, भैया आ जाओ, हमारे घर में आ जाओ, हमारी भी पागल है। She is absolutely mental.
You're being rude.
Yes.
I don't care. वो आ जा रहा है, अभी आ रहा है, इसी वक्त आ रहा है।
पूजा?
No, वो बाहर खड़ा है और मैं उसे अंदर बुला रही हूँ।
Never.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. She said thank you to me.
Yeah.
But I didn't give the.
Has someone like leaked out your chats?
On that note, hello. Welcome to today's podcast. If you haven't gathered, we are talking about someone we have already talked about before. We have a returning guest. First, I would like to congratulate the guest for Jubilee and how good it was. We talked about it. And if you want to listen, thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you. And I just have to give a disclaimer that I was an assistant on the film.
Yes, show, film, whatever. I also confuse them.
Sorry, on the series. No, just before. I mean, I always I've been feeling weird when people like congratulate me because I feel like I didn't really do anything on it. Like
you were,
but yeah.
Okay. Yes.
I'm very excited that.
Yes. Okay, so that is out of the way. So our topic again, and Jasmine is our regular, I think, for this sort of discussion, because I think she helped us get more hate mail about Karan Johar after.
And now the cult has been.
And now we are inviting members into our cult, essentially, of Karan Johar. So Sanjeet is unfortunately. KJo, the filmmaker, let me just put an asterisk. Yes. And writer, I think. But okay, anyways, Sanjeet isn't here today because he's busy as usual. So we have Aryan with us, who initially joined this episode as a Rocky or Rani ki Prem Kahaani. Like, he liked it, and he didn't like. He at least I remember him telling me that he doesn't like KJo and KJo's films before, but he since seen 2 of his films in one day and has decided that he has converted into a KJo fan. Aryan, so I think we should kind of begin with you, but before that, everyone who's joining, we are discussing Rocky or Rani ki Prem Kahaani primarily. There'll be references to other films from Karan Johar's films because Rocky or Rani is kind of a play on all of his other films in some ways, I think. So spoilers for all of them, I think. So please take caution. I mean, you won't watch it, I suppose, so you can listen to us at least. Like, you won't watch his films because they're long, I suppose. But we would recommend, please watch all of his films, except for guys.
My Name is Khan.
It's not that bad, but okay, My Name is Khan.
Actually, I've not seen My Name is Khan in like 10 years.
So. But last time we discussed, it's the first half great. We were discussing the
second half is a bit dodgy. Yeah.
Dodgy. No, it's bad. Like, really bad.
You mentioned that park scene, right?
Park scene in
very Forrest Gump.
My Name is Khan. Oh, the whole section of the second half is essentially Forrest Gump. Like, he goes to different parts.
But you don't like Forrest Gump, so
I don't like Forrest Gump.
Valid,
But it's also just like the least KJo film. Like, in terms
it is, yeah.
Like, like how you can see, like, you can tell when a director is using personal, like what means something to him personally and being driven from that place. And I feel like that is, with My Name is Khan, the least.
I mean, the primary message of that is there are good and bad people. For a film about 9/11, which is much thornier than good and bad people in some cases, I think you should see. I know I'm repeating myself, and Karan Johar also repeats himself, so I suppose it's poetic that we do so. Karan Johar, when introduced to real world problems, issues, topics, is odd. Not so he can do it in terms of gender politics, and that's in his own milieu, right? I mean, genuinely real life incidents that have changed the course of the world, when he's commenting on them and he's employing his own melodramatic stamp on it, and he is a very melodramatic director. if you do that good bad in that, it blunts a lot of complexity, which I think is a problem. For me it is, but I'm sure for others
I
it's
think
not.
my major takeaway from KJo's entire filmography and his approach to filmmaking is precisely that people go in expecting to watch something melodramatic, knowing that it's already functioning on a heightened level, right?
Yeah.
But then people get disappointed because we are used to cinema of consequences. We are used to watching dramas where there are consequences for characters, where they learn and go through the conventional arc. But KJo cinema is not the cinema of consequences. It's about cinema of coincidences, right? Because he recently said this in the Film Companion interview that when we were writing this entire scene where Dharmendra gets confronted with Shabana Azmi's character when an old flame in his life re-enters his life, he literally stands up and starts singing in the middle of a giant hallway. Okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing that makes sense about this scene. But literally on face, it means that love has made him walk. So his entire cinema, people have complained.
But
People have complaints regarding.
but Aryan, I think that's people's problem. I think that's genuinely people's problem to not.
Precisely.
I think he very like I know I'm a defender of most of his work, but I'm just saying that he's in all his films mostly he sets a dynamic where the stakes are already heightened. Like those logical parts sort of fall away. I mean, especially in like the really
there's always
melodramatic.
Like fractures between
absolutely
dynamics in the family itself.
I would say the most grounded of these would probably be Aidil and Kank, if anything. Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna. I think even Rocky or Rani is operating on a much more heightened level than these two films. So
I also like one more moment that I remember the first time I watched it, where I actively had this thought, which is, where in the second half when there's this super dramatic scene where the father Tijori is like confronting Rocky and the family and all this is happening, and then the mother puts on her audition. And then he shuts it, and it's like this super dramatic scene.
The 360 degree camera.
Yeah, and then she turns around and she starts singing Aaj Phir Jhuli Ki Hai. When I watched that, like for the first time, I was a little taken aback. But I was like, you know what? You do you, man. Like,
exactly.
I'm like to like you need confidence to pull off something that ridiculous, but it's like conviction, and
conviction.
Yeah. No, but it's essentially, I know, like it's basically operating as we've discussed this a little bit outside of the thing. I think he's his musical, or he has a musicality, which I think when he taps into that, I think it totally sings. Like I think his filmmaking, when it's in like, flowing from one, there's so many, I'm sorry, but I will deviate a little bit first into K3G, which is Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, because that's the sort of main film, I think. I rewatched it. I think it's sensational, by the way.
Sorry, one second before you go on, I have to say that I, after watching Insomnia, opened Letterboxd to write that like log that I watched Insomnia.
Yeah, and Insomnia. This is by Christopher Nolan, not the Swedish original.
And Dhruv is my only friend on Letterboxd. Okay, so whatever I watch, his rating comes down, and so I watched Insomnia, and it said Dhruv has given it 2.5 stars. Okay, and I was like, okay. And then as soon as I shut that, I got a notification that Dhruv has given K3G 4.5 stars. I was like, I love it. You are brave, my friend. Brave.
I know I am brave, but it is such.
I gave Barbie a 3 and then Color now 4.
Like... You guys can bring in some of the Barbie comparisons. You both have seen it.
Yeah, so, it's very I think evident. I mean, but it's
Rocky
very
Rani and Barbie. Rocky and Rani and Barbie.
Yeah.
Have a similar whatever thing, right? So you guys can bring it. I mean, spoilers, I guess there won't be. If there will be, I will shut my mic off or whatever. Sorry, speaker off. So, because I've not seen it. Anyways, K3G first. Briefly only, I won't like spend that much time on it. But yeah, I think K3G's reputation has become as this super traditional text in Hindi, Indian cinema of 2000s of sort of NRI cinema, right? In which it's been used as this thing which people respond to through different mediums and forms. So I feel whenever Kapoor and Sons was released, it was like the antidote of K3G, right? When Rocky or Rani released, it was also sort of positioned as a corrective almost to K3G's sensibilities. And I mean, there are elements in K3G that definitely have a slightly traditional, not they are fairly like very traditional, but they have a slightly regressive edge to them when it comes to sort of gender roles and gender politics. I think in a sense, you have, I mean, there's sort of notions of what counts as beauty is very certain in a Karan Johar film. A fat kid can't fall in love with Kareena Kapoor, so he needs to grow up to be Hrithik Roshan. That is there. Definitely. So, I mean, he is responsible for whatever, your quote unquote, setting these things wrong. And in a sense, if you look at all the female characters in the film, Anjali, Kajol, and Jaya Bachchan, who actually has slightly more of a subversive part also towards the end, and Kareena Kapoor, all of them have a sort of, they are there to be homemakers. They are there to be sort of, people who will support your sort of husband. So I think that sort of is a regressive bend. What isn't regressive, and I think the film does touch upon, which I think never gets credit for, and I think are elements that should be highlighted as well, are, I always credited Shakun Batra and sort of Kapoor and Sons with this notion of having mummy's favorite boy. You have like one of them, right? She's supposed to love everyone, but in K3G there's this beautiful scene between Hrithik Roshan and Shah Rukh Khan where he's like, "आप पहले कहते थे कि मम्मा मुझसे आपसे ज़्यादा प्यार करती हैं." वो सच है. Like he openly admits it, and I think Hrithik Roshan, who I've not appreciated as much before, he really sells that scene. He's like that ugly crying sort of takes over, and there's like the element of pain in that and all that. And then there's the adoption angle itself, and just the angle of Shah Rukh Khan. Shah Rukh Khan's identity actually, so again, this is all my paper speaking in which I did on Farah Khan, and it's sort of interesting to see Shah Rukh Khan as the person who's the one passing between, he's the adopted child, right? Yeah. Who's passing between rich and poor. He's passing almost very easily between Muslim and Hindu also in this. Just another very fascinating dynamic with Farida Jalal's character, who I think is the secret MVP of this film. Just to mention that. DJ, yes, her arc with Hrithik Roshan's character is lovely, I think. Yeah. But no, I think the whole adopted angle is fascinating. I think there's a whole angle in which the film knocks back against tradition from the get-go. Like, it's a film in which the patriarch is wrong in some senses. Not in some senses, he essentially apologizes by the end. It's his fault. It's his fault that he had such an ego that he couldn't accept his family as it was. He was the one who rejected Rahul and Anjali because Anjali belonged to a lower social status. He's the person who doesn't want to go to his house help's daughter's wedding because they belong to a lower social status, and they probably also belong to a different religion. So I'm saying there's all this there. So, there are elements of it that are not regressive, that are not that are actually, if you look at it from today's context, they might even seem much more progressive than some of the films that come across now. Yeah. Does that mean that Karan Johar using Vande Mataram and Jana Gana Mana in two sequences is not fairly appalling? No, it is. It stands out. Though I would argue that in some senses, those are also very linked to the familial dynamics between the people. Like, you can understand what it is. And I think in many senses, K3G, now I'm looking back at it, and as an NRI, for me, it speaks so perfectly to the NRI sensibility. Sentiment, yeah. Yeah, and just Bollywood sensibility in general, where you're sort of, trying to be progressive in one sense, trying to move ahead in some sense, but you're also like bound by these conventions and all these which sort of hold you back. And that tension will always be there, I think, as an Indian person who's also, who has a slightly, because Karan Johar is not, he belongs to a generation and director, I feel, in which his sensibilities are not traditional in the particular sense. He's also continuously adapting to, different people who are coming up. And, I think he's always in this also, he's like, the central sort of thing is that kabhi bado ko bhi choto se rasta seekhna padta hai, or something like that along those lines. So I think K3G has elements of that. So I mean, I don't want to it's become this thing that it's the corrective to that, Rocky or Rani. It is corrective in some senses. I'm not sure it's as good a film in terms of its melodramatic punch. I'll be very honest.
No.
As in Rocky or Rani isn't, I think, in comparison to K3G in terms of filmmaking, in terms of allowing characters to really feel, all of them to feel really alive, all of them to have individual songs and moments in which, you have like I was noticing so many things in K3's time, which was so lovely. Every character has a different playback singer who sings the Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum ka title track when they have their moment with someone else. It's like minor moments like that. I love those, and I think
my favorite is when Pooh convinces Rahul to get Hrithik Roshan to stay.
oh, it's so lovely.
And then he comes and the hum pass hai fir bhi kitni hai
Kitni hai
duriyan.
duriyan, yes.
I was like,
yes, exactly. Like I think I also incidentally, because now I will jump to Rocky or Rani, unless you guys, of course, please put in more context if you want. But it's also, I think, one of the best short at least and edited KJo films. I think this is the one. Maybe it's the era. Maybe it's like just the time, how it's changed and how. Because I remember when I was watching Rocky or Rani, I was like, why is everything so condensed in this? Glossy also, but also condensed. Like there's the songs feel like they've been condensed into like, you know, a shorter way so that
That's
they can't
because of
really
the logistics, right? He said this, that he wanted to keep the film below 250, and he said that the extended version would be out on OTT.
Okay.
But I don't think, like, do you mean condensed in length or do you mean condensed in
Condensed in length.
No, I think
it's not in both in a sense. And also just quick cutting is, I think, the big bane, actually, the big problem of like the sweeping melodrama, which I think is, because I was noticing in this, he allows so much of the camera to just stay on the dancers when it's dancing. Like the camera, like, you know, cranes down and it's like allowing them to do their steps, allowing them to express. There are long takes in this of like people talking on the bench. There's no shot over shot. They're like genuinely just talking to each other. And it allows all the emotion to come through in, like, you know, the whole duration. I feel now the necessity to almost adapt to quicker cutting just to like keep the audience's attention. I feel there's some things that sort of get flattened. And I think Rocky or Rani suffers in that way, in some senses, in scenes which actually call back directly to K3G. Primarily the one I can remember is the one where the fire is being funeral. Yes. I thought that in Rocky or Rani felt very, very tame when it should have been a really cathartic moment of, you know, reunion or something like that. So I think those
and even
elements
one of Jaya Bachchan's dialogues, right?
Jaya Bachchan, I think, is actually, now I realize Jaya Bachchan is not very good in Rocky or Rani. She's so good in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. Her and Shah Rukh Khan have some, I don't know what mother-son bond they've made from some other era, because they have some other level of, I don't want to say chemistry, I want to say a relationship. Like,
no,
it doesn't...
It's like between two actors.
It's like, you know how there are like big things in that in K3G where she can sense her son coming from the helicopter, from like, you know, from the mall also. And I was like, you need actors who can sell those things, and they are selling it absolutely. And also credit to the playback singers. Lata Mangeshkar's voice works like magically. So does Alka Yagnik, so does Soru Nigam, and so does Udit Narayan. All of them, I think, are just operating on a different level. So that is my K3G.
I think one of the things that has still that Karan Johar has still retained in his flair is that the ability of working according to the actor's strength. Because what he's done in Rocky or Rani, he's added an extension onto Ranveer Singh's actual life. Okay, at least the life that we see of him in public.
Yes.
Okay, he's extended that, and he's also recognized that vulnerability in his eyes of, you know, deftly swifting between giving a monologue on the on cancel culture, and then talking about you guys making fun of me when I try to speak English, even that is wrong. And then the switch to sentimentality, and especially I think this is the only, I think that's easily the best part about Rocky or Rani for me, where he's confronting Rani's parents after Jaya Bachchan's actor makes a scene out of the entire
the Tota Chaudhary dancing.
That entire confrontation in the living room, I think that's one of the best Bollywood scenes I've watched in a long time, and especially the lack of background music. I was genuinely moved during that scene, because that was like Because I think you've talked about this, and it's been one of the worst aspects about Karan Johar in his films, the constant nagging of those background
I mean, I
sound
don't like
effects.
I don't like when
It's
he does it for like comedy. Like there's like he
but he
does it
does
a
it
lot
so
in
much.
Aidil.
He did it
Yeah,
so much.
yeah,
Aidil
he
also
does
had that.
a lot. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry, Aryan, but yeah, it's going to be work for you. Don't worry. Now you're a fan.
And see the other I'll watch it then. But the thing is that what glaringly became evident to me, even though I had not watched most of his films like this,
Yeah.
the way I did yesterday, is that while watching Rocky or Rani, I could legit feel the need of reverse engineering certain parts and portions into the film, which just cut away from the conviction of whatever that was happening on screen. And conviction has been the only cornerstone of KJo's cinema that defines
Yeah.
his style, okay, that defines Bollywood to a certain extent. But the constant need of just showing in a boardroom scene just to sell that one line, ki zamana
Yes.
wahi, whatever it was.
Yes, yes. Swad
Swad wahi,
naya.
Soch
Some
nahi
swad
swad.
wahi,
soch
soch.
nahi. Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, you just rewatched it, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So it's just that felt very shoehorned. But then again, it's like I get the need of wanting to course correct through the narrative beats of K3G. But it's those things that just kept this film from becoming convincing. And I just don't think that it lives up to whatever he did in the mid 2000s.
I
It's
actually
all
missed
yeah.
I
Good.
didn't know that this Rocky or Rani being a sort of corrective to K3G was a thing.
I think it's literally
I think
beat
it
by
is.
beat, and narratively,
No,
it
like as
literally
in
has
has
so
he, is this something that has come through people watching, or is this something he has said explicitly?
I think he said it in the interview also that some of it was supposed to be a subverse. I mean, there are literal like callbacks, no, where she's like, "Keh diya
visual and
na, bas keh
narrative.
diya,"
Ah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
is
all that I know. I
yeah,
mean, there's a lot of like self-referencing.
yeah.
Uh,
No, but self-referencing to
It's
self-critique,
always
I think.
been there. Self-referencing has always been there.
But I think sometimes he does it in a very tongue-in-cheek. Oh, you know, we did this and kuch hota hai. I
yeah,
know.
like when he's like, what does he say? I forgot that line when he's like something. Oh, हाँ, Dhanlakshmi sweets, naam to suna hoga. Just like Rahul.
Yes. Just like
I'm
Rahul, yeah.
like, dude,
Nee,
I
but
I'm
was
there's
rolling my eyes, but I'm also like chuckling.
yeah. But that's a very KJo emotion, I feel. But
Yeah.
okay, so Jasmine, go ahead. You rewatched it recently and you tweaked your thoughts. I'm curious. What was the tweaking?
Okay, so
Yeah.
the first time that I still enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
the first time that I watched Rocky or Rani, I had a great time.
Yeah.
And I watched it with an amazing crowd. And with a bunch of friends that was like reacting to everything and laughing out loud and clapping in scenes. And like that was the environment in which I watched it in. And I do think it influenced my perception, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Obviously, I get the problematic stuff. Like, yeah, in the second half, I was like, okay, challa. Like when all the referencing was happening. But at the same time, I was also like, it's fine. Like I didn't mind it. Like I noticed it, but I was like, it's fine. Like for me in that world of cinema, and I was talking to Dhruv about like cinema for social change. Like I was like, in a way, it's a good thing. I'm like, you have the ability to reach masses, be on the nose. It's fine. When I go in to watch a KJo film, and I'm not saying this to negate his talent as a director. Like I do think he has command over his film. But at the same time, I don't go in expecting cinematic brilliance. I go in expecting entertainment, expecting emotion, expecting music, expecting some social messaging. Honestly. So in that sense, like I had a great time. But this time when I watched it last night, actually, I went again because this time I went with my family, and I still enjoyed it, but it felt a little empty to me this time.
Okay.
Even in the KJo universe. So I felt a little like the jokes were still funny. I'm a sucker for like dad jokes, So the jokes were still funny, and the social messaging was still there. But somewhere just emotionally, which is usually his strong suit, it felt a little weak, especially in comparison to his own films.
So
So
it
that's why I
felt
was like,
emotionally weak in terms of love story or in terms of
in terms
just
of love
everything?
The
story,
melodrama.
in terms of family, like all the relationships. I think the first time I just had so much fun that I didn't like think so much about it. But now that I watched it again, it actually made me question its rewatchability value. Like the way his other films have. Like every time I watch K3G or Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, like I cry. And I love it because like that's what I'm going for. Like Rocky or Rani, I don't know if it has that. Because on the second watch, I was like, it's fun, but it doesn't quite have the KJo,
Do you think
hardcore emotion.
so? I guess I'll bring this up now because I think it's a good sort of. Do you think it's because the actors have changed? Do you think he needs Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol to, and Preeti Zinta and
Or
Rani
Preeti
Mukherjee and whatever, like the other sort of, the previous generation?
I think
sort of-
just have Shah Rukh, no matter who you pitch him against, it's just.
I don't know about that actually, Dhruv. I
Because
don't know.
no, I'm asking only because I really rate both the actors in this, because I think they are like really strong in Rocky or Rani also. But I'm asking because you said the emotional thing is lacking, and someone mentioned somewhere, and it was that, where is the romance? And I watched and I was like, well, there is romance. I mean, they are pretty attractive together. They have like good chemistry, but then I rewatched K3G and I was like, that probably makes me question where is the romance, which I know it shouldn't be the bar, but there is some other, I mean, there's some alchemy again at work between Shah Rukh and Kajol, I suppose. So I don't know what.
I think like, not like, keeping the comparison aside, I actually don't think that the actors are the problem, because I agree with you. I was actually very pleasantly surprised by their chemistry. As I was telling you, I didn't like the trailer at all.
I think
and
everyone was put off by the
Yeah.
trailer.
And I was kind of irritated with Ranveer Singh's character, but I came out loving Rocky the most, more than any other character.
Yeah.
The actors worked for me, and in fact, I did think they had quite like intense chemistry, especially in their like sloppy makeout sessions, and like, and I also have to actually say, I, as a sucker for old Hindi film songs, really enjoyed watching a young couple like make out, to like this like old Hindi
Good
film
song.
music. It was a very like refreshing visual, to see. So I don't think it was the actors. I think somewhere, it's a good question.
I mean, it's not written by him. He doesn't have writing credits on it. So just to like specify that, which might be why people have loved it, and which might be why I'm a little also on your sort of, I like it, but it's like,
and we have our own reservations regarding one of the writers.
Yeah, I mean, Shashank Ketan, I don't think is a solid writer. I don't think he's very good, actually. So, like, being very honest, as a sort of, I liked Humpty Sharma Ki Dulhania. I think that's a good film. I think when he goes to do the social commentary, which I don't think it's his addition, but I feel Bharadwaj Rangan brought this up, and I want to bring it up because I also felt it, at least when I was watching it. Like, the Thappad comparison never went away from my head. I was like, why does a Karan Johar film feel like an Anubhav Sinha film? That's the oddest combination in some ways to me. It's like, because in this, I felt some scenes in Rocky or Rani did just stop the film in the middle and were like, we need to tell you this thing about patriarchy. Let me tell you this. And then the scene gets over. I think there are ways in which the film integrates them well also, but I don't think it's always that. I think there are many sections.
I think that boardroom scene is one of the worst scenes I've watched in any film in a long time.
I think the only reason I don't hate it as much is because when they cut to the commercial playing, I think it becomes playful again. But her initial thing about,
just entering the...
it just felt extremely, extremely distracting, or like it felt jarring in a way which I thought was like not successful. But you, Jasmine, said that you were fine with the social message, like the overtness of it, at least the first time. So all this sort of, did it work for you the second time also? Was it a bit like, oh, get on with it, like, let's...
Thing is that honestly, I'm not thinking in those moments, I'm not really thinking about how it affects me, because I'm not looking at it as a film, as a cinematic experience anymore. I'm kind of looking at it as like, yes, please tell people this, So
but
like,
don't you think that these things have been told to people already? Is my other thing.
No. Like, I think maybe in our limited circles they have, but I honestly also feel like I would imagine my own grandmother, for example, although she is quite liberal, but like just using her as an example, like if I think of her watching the film, I do think that if it was subtle, I don't know if the point would have hit home, so in that sense, I feel like the film knows what it's going for and is doing it on purpose. It's not like they've slipped up. There's a difference.
No, I agree. But I think will the point not be conveyed better in the, for example, we can elaborate on this scene because it's possibly, I think, all of our, and it's you rightly mentioned, it's a fairly significant cultural thing. Like it's a big cultural moment, and it will define a sort of image, right? What Jasmine had mentioned about the Dola Re Dola sort of inverse,
I
and
was
sort
off
of
my feet.
yeah,
Fantastic.
and how important, I think those moments to me at least feel like the ones which are where you know they've integrated it amazingly into the film and they're communicating.
No, and also in fact I actually wanted to say that like when you were mentioning earlier about in K3G the nikah that happens in
Yes.
For
2000s had a very strong secular sense, which
yes.
is
And
I mean,
especially KJo's films, I think
set again Gujarat, by the way.
no, and in fact I think at least KJo's films, all of his films are actually quite secular. And I agree with you that I think usually he very subtly normalizes things, which
Yes,
is
you
amazing.
said this,
Like the nikah in K3G, which no one
Yes.
questions. That you're just watching a nikah and it's fine, like you know.
Yeah.
And like the Dola Re Dola, and like I was telling you, like I think that like Rani, the fact that like, oh, is she going to stop working after her marriage? Like, it wasn't even a question. It's like, yeah, she's a career woman. That's
Exactly.
not the problem. That kind of subtlety of like, it's just not addressed and hence it's normal is amazing. And I think he does a fabulous job doing that.
I think the best way of normalizing anything is to not even acknowledge it that it's a problem.
I fully agree with you. But going back to like what we were saying earlier, again, I'm not defending it, but like the way that I would see it is that is also a little bit more complicated a point to make.
No, that's fair. Sorry,
I think that another Dharma film that recently came out, which I actually like quite a lot. Jug Jug Jio similarly incorporated
you liked
a lot of
I
did.
Sorry.
Even that film incorporated.
I don't remember it actually very much.
That film, I genuinely had a great time watching that film. Okay, and I think I watched it twice. Yes. So even that film incorporated a lot of these patriarchal themes and misogyny and all these themes. But the only problem that most people have about that film, including myself, is that it did not fully hold its male protagonist Anil Kapoor's character with that. It didn't hold him accountable of whatever he did. Okay, throughout the course of the movie. This movie literally gender flips and cast Jaya Bachchan as the house family matriarch. And it actually, in a way, if you think about it, it does hold her accountable because she's left alone by the end of the movie. And she's also been confronted about her egoistical, self-centered nature when she writes that letter to Rani.
Of course.
And I think that just beautifully
too rushed, I think, that scene. A little too rushed.
Yeah.
But by the way, can I say something? Because this was actually the first time I watched it. The one thing that I left feeling, which was more on the negative side, because I was actually really happy with it when I watched it, was that I feel they did Jaya wrong.
I get it all.
I really think that. And the thing is, the film, like in, I think, a typical KJo way, in the second half, like slowly it was tying up all its ends, right? Like every character was one by one getting their redemption, and and I was like, this is great, and I was waiting for Jaya's redemption.
Yeah,
but there is no.
Never happened. Is there?
But no, there isn't. But that is
itself holds him. Yeah,
that is the subversive element essentially.
Exactly. No. But I'll tell you something. Now I'll tell you what I disagree with. Okay. One thing is like, okay, fine. I guess she was like judgmental and controlling, and hence she deserved.
Oh yes, you were talking about
And I think this is a very relevant thing. I do think even if she's left alone or even if she has to suffer, my point is not that why she's suffering at the end. She can still suffer at the end. But I do think that we deserve to have some insight into where she's coming from and why she is this way. And I'm sorry, but having your husband openly kiss another woman and your grandkids encouraging it, that was not funny to me. Like, it's like all the scenes where like he was like romancing her and they were like cutting to Jaya ji or like yeah, it's kind of funny. I will laugh in the moment, but I feel like that deserves to be addressed.
Okay.
I don't think it was played for laughs though. Do you think?
I think so.
I think it was.
I don't think so.
I thought it was played for laughs.
I think it's just in that
Right.
hallway scene, it's played for laugh. After that,
Okay.
when she finds them like in the corner of a random Delhi's monument, I don't think that's played for laugh.
Acha, I thought
And I
most of it,
actually
the
thought
thing was
that would
played
be
for
the
laughs.
interval point, but then the film went
But
on.
there's a lot to go after that.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so I don't especially have a problem with this because I think you had what you mentioned about Jasmine, the whole normalizing thing, right? Things which aren't supposed to be normal. He
Yeah.
does have a knack for normalizing them in a sense.
Yeah.
So to me, the musicality sort of overrid that element of, that, because I think Jaya Bachchan also really plays that stern, unloving matriarch very. I don't want to say well, because I didn't really care for that character at all. But that I wasn't question. I was like, oh, these two should run away with it. Like, that's my internal thought. Like Dharmendra and Shabana Azmi, I thought they were the sort of soulmates. This is my Kang connection essentially. Well,
No,
it
no,
was
and I
like,
don't. No, but here's the thing. I don't have a problem. I think it's great that they're showing that, like, I don't have a problem
yeah,
with the love story at all. My
yeah,
only problem is I think I left feeling a little
answers.
unsatisfied because I felt like I was given no insight into where she's coming.
I think that feeling is stemming out of the fact, according to me, that the film felt too rushed when it was ending. Because you could feel the weight that KJo might have had as a producer, that he has to keep the film under 250 or whatever.
I suppose.
And I think the film just rushes itself too abruptly.
Because there's a lot of stuff it has to resolve. No,
Yeah.
I also think did you like the quote unquote bra scene with Ranveer Singh? Or am I the only one who thought that?
I mean, I think like it's
very.
I mean, it was just very like, oh, because in that household there's some learning happening, something needs to happen here. But yeah, I agree with you, it wasn't the best, and like actually while you were speaking, I remember when earlier you were talking about like why the emotion didn't hit, because I actually don't have a clear answer. I think I need to think more about it, but I think what it is that comes to mind is KJo's really good at creating moments, like magic moments. Yeah. And I think that was a little less in this film. He has some extremely strong ones like the Dola Re Dola and the, there are a bunch of, and the kiss. And like,
yes, the musical moments, I feel in some senses.
Yeah, a few like really, really exceptional moments. But I'm talking about like the simpler between two characters. Like, like the scene that comes to mind because you're talking about K3G is like when he's making her wear bangles. And then
oh my God,
like,
that scene is so romantic. Yes.
Little like romantic moments. Yeah. Which I think weren't there as much because the couple was just,
I like the scene where she bangs a car into his car and coming from the opposite angle. I was like, I liked her emotion in that. I thought, I mean, I genuinely did like Alia Bhatt as fairly, not desperate, but as a fairly, forthcoming in terms of her attraction. I think her, and she's natural like with that, right? So I think that felt very much like a sort of, that sort of added to the chemistry to me. But you're right. Actually, the bangle moment in K3G, I was like, this is sensational. Like, just the way they enacted. I will put a clip of that.
दोस्ती के अलावा भी कुछ रिश्ते होते हैं, कुछ रिश्ते जो हम समझते नहीं, कुछ रिश्ते जो हम समझना नहीं चाहते। चुप तो नहीं रहा। कुछ रिश्ते जिनका कोई नाम नहीं होता, सिर्फ एहसास होता। चुप तो नहीं रहा। कुछ रिश्ते जिनकी कोई दीवार नहीं होती, सरहद नहीं होती। चुप तो नहीं रहा। ऐसे रिश्ते जो दिल के रिश्ते होते, प्यार के रिश्ते होते, मोहब्बत के रिश्ते होते। चुप और एक बात और बता दो, आपकी हलवाई की दुकान तो मैं हड़प कर ही रहूंगा।
And I feel like those kind of little moments that build like the love story, I think that was less in this.
I think what he was trying to do, at least for me, was trying to rhyme it with the older section, right? It was like, it's again the whole old and newer generation sort of caught in a similar cycle. That's very K3G also. But But yeah, it's I like the whole I bought the rhyming thing, but you're right, it robs them of their original own romance in a sense. Except of course, then we can talk about positives also. I think we've gone over to negative on Rocky or Rani for some strange reason.
We can talk about what?
About positive things also about the film. I think we've
No, there's
sort of
also
tiptoed out.
I'm just sitting here like now when I've started appreciating KJo, you guys are like sitting
No, I think the
No, but like,
positives have come. I mean,
No,
I've been
like
shocked by
anything.
the reception. No, because the reception
Yeah.
came. I was like, KJo ki picture sabko achhi lag gayi.
Yeah,
I'm like,
so
I'm
Yeah,
shocked.
he's like Rahul Desai loved my film. Even I
yeah,
was.
yeah, his interview is too funny. He was like, I was so confused. I was like, okay, he'll do well at the box office is fine, but I'm getting good reviews. Like, what's happening here? No, but just one thing while we're like on the what we didn't love
Yeah.
was I mean, honestly, I didn't have a problem with this, but I did think that Ranveer Singh sort of stole the show
Yes.
as Rocky. And I felt this Dhruv more in my second
Okay, in the
watch.
second time? Okay,
Felt
fine.
it
Okay.
more.
Okay, sad.
Is there are a lot of, and I don't mind it, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of Gangu leaks in Alia. A lot. I felt it the first time also, and when I watched the second time, I was like, now I see it more. You know, and I can pinpoint moments. In fact, I thought I was like, oh, now I can specify which moment. One of it was the one I told you, which is when she crashes the car. Not the whole scene, but just when she's yelling at him.
Okay.
And she's like, what? मैं बोल रही है ना, something like
okay.
Hindi, you know,
Yeah.
which is like she's just like Colombia.
Yeah.
I was like, this is Gangu, guys, not Rani.
She might have gotten so confused during the entire
Yeah.
Mojo scene.
Were they
What
shooting
set am I on?
shooting back to back or what? Or like
I think
together?
a little bit.
I think
overlap.
Okay.
I think a lot of the problem with the pacing when it comes to this film, it
Hmm.
has to be, I think, because of the lockdowns and because of Alia Bhatt's
Hmm.
own personal life seeping into the scheduling of the film.
Yes.
I think it has a lot to contribute about the film's uneven pacing, especially in its second half.
Mhm.
No,
I mean,
but
I
the
think second half I think Karan Johar may have a second half issue only. A little bit. I think his first halves are generally
I
the
agree
stronger.
with you.
I
Yeah.
just completed watching Kalona. Please.
Kal Ho Na Ho ka ending, okay, that no one can. I mean,
Oh, but that is a Nikhil Advani, of course. We all.
you don't like the ending? You don't cry?
I
when-
love it. That's what I'm saying. That
Actually, you're giving Nikhil Advani the credit for that. Okay, fine.
No, I'm being very snarky. We all know who
Kasona
directed
Ho
it.
has Karan Johar's signature on it.
Yeah,
Like,
I
Kal
know.
Ho Na Ho has no subtext about gay jokes also. It is legitimately the
It
text.
does.
It's
It
text,
does.
it's not subtext.
Oh, okay, okay.
They are literally talking about. There's so many jokes. They're amazing jokes also. Just saying, but
But again, the background music effect, it's very
okay, yeah. So yeah, fair enough.
no, but
basically
I
because
find
it's
it funny
racist
when,
also. So,
when what's her name? Camilla, and it's like,
Gangu.
"Once your money."
Oh, yeah.
That is good. That's not bad. The Camilla. She's also in K3G actually. Simone Singh, I think.
Yeah, she's the Nika. She's the.
She's the Nika, yes.
I forgot her name. Rajni.
Array, no, how have I forgotten? Ruksar.
Sa.
I just gave it 4.5. How I forgot. No, but see, what again, more than his movies, I've always found Karan Johar more articulate and more fun to watch when he's like giving his interviews
Producer.
or when he's taking
As a
interviews.
producer, right?
As a producer, as a businessman, as an astute cultural observer.
Yeah.
I think
Astute cultural observer will also include reality TV show judge and gossip
No,
columnist as a second, whatever. So yes.
But I do agree that he, in the interviews where he's actually talking film and
Oh, yeah.
not talking about the other
amazing.
things that he talks,
Yeah, yeah.
when he's actually talking film, I think he's so intelligent, so
Amazing.
articulate, so observant.
He should
like,
do a
Yeah.
trade ka thing. Like he should do a trade school. Like he should school
I
people on
actually
like
think I've-
production. Oh,
No,
I
no,
think.
They would just send
I
NCB
actually think
there.
I've like learned so much hearing his interviews, and
Yeah.
and he also has a sense of humor in
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the way.
and you know what? Actually, I had just finished watching his interview on Film Companion when it was on the same day when I listened to your podcast, that episode which you guys.
Aryan
did
is plugging
on
this,
his-
huh? You can also
Your-
listen. That episode's done
Yeah,
quite
no,
well. So I'm very
But
happy.
then what
Really?
Jasmine talked about regarding
Yeah.
KJo's style is
Yeah.
that it's actually difficult from her point of view. That's what she said, if I'm remembering correctly, that it's difficult to actually pour your heart out and
Oh yeah.
make films, tell any story with that sort of conviction. But it's easier actually to make it all seem intellectual and very,
Oh yeah.
self-centered and autistic.
Arey,
whatever.
I told you I'm scared to watch Kal Ho Na Ho. Like I'm scared as a watcher to engage in that much
To feel
emotionality.
that.
I can't imagine how much he's pouring his heart into it. Right.
And it just circles back into what he himself said in this recent interview, that cinema is basically a way, even for us watchers, okay, two of us at least, that
Yes.
we watch movies to vicariously live through our own
Yeah.
experiences. And of course, there's the entire escapism
Cinema is
aspect.
the medium for
But
loners, essentially, sort of
He
like
says
that.
this
Yeah.
in that interview that
Yeah.
he says in that interview that he's making films vicariously to live his life,
Of
because
course.
he's, according to him, he's not found his love yet in his
Yeah.
life, but he's vicariously already lived that
Yeah.
perfect ideal love life through
Yes.
like 7
Cinema.
of his films,
Yeah.
right? And it's just that's conviction, and it just brings me back to this point that I made in my essay that I wrote, that I sent to Dhruv right before our recording, that I just love KJo's journey into the industry, because he basically started off as an assistant director in DDLJ, right? And that film
And
itself
cast
has
starred
such
in
a
it also.
starred in it as SRK's friend. But that film in itself signifies so much about Bollywood, and it
Yep.
literally came when India was at the brink of liberalization, right? When it
Yeah.
was just starting to embrace the more globalist, liberalized movement. And then to incorporate that entire notion and sentiment, as you said, through into his own filmography, because DDLJ literally starts with an NRI,
Yes.
with us seeing that longing कि oh
Yep.
India, कि oh
Yep.
अपना देश तो अपना देश होता है. And then we watch throughout the rest of the film its main protagonist Raj go through this notion that I want to marry an Indian girl in traditionalist ways, and I don't want to run away with her.
I don't want to run
convince
away.
her.
Yes.
That's the main, right? That's the main crux of the film.
Everyone
That
loves love.
Hindustani ladki, Hindustani, मैं जानता हूँ,
I still think the
whatever.
best, and like I know they blunt this a version, but there's one amazing sequence with Farida Jalal telling
Oh,
Shah
I
Rukh Khan
loved against that backdrop.
कि भाग जाओ
Yeah.
उसको लेके
Oh,
क्योंकि यहाँ
it's
पे कोई नहीं
so
मानने
that
वाला.
scene, that scene is so good. And again, KJo's mid 2000s films, okay, that defined his own career and Bollywood in itself. It's about his characters are already there. His characters have already been living in New York or whatever since a while, okay, and it's them going through that motion between modernity versus tradition in a foreign country.
As an
And-
NRI, I can attest that it is a continuous feeling for every
Yeah.
person. As an Indian, they create their own Indias in
Wherever they
abroad, but and then they always have this contradictory notion of wanting to go back but hating to go back, and that push and pull is always there. And I think that sort of sentiment will be there throughout his Aditya Chopra's and Aditya Chopra. I think those two are the big NRI filmmakers. If Suraj Bajatiya, I'm not sure. I think he's very much more into the
Traditional, yeah.
I'm not sure what Suraj. I've not seen many Suraj Bajatiya films. So,
And again, the way, see, we have talked about music. We can't talk about KJo's films without mentioning or
Yes.
talking about the music, okay? And
which
again,
so before we go to like positive, I just want to say that music may we'll discuss the opening
Mid.
sequence, because we made to hai music, but
हाँ.
even opening wala Jasmine, we discussed this once, but we were like, this is what cameos have come down to.
Oh, that was- I think it was just him as a cheekily saying that, oh, see, blame me all you want for casting. and
that he's just doubling
normalizing
down on his
nepo
own.
kids, yeah.
Yes.
That was so like, yeah.
And I was like, इसमें तो कुछ भी नहीं है. Like I'm like, Mahi way mein you have Kajol coming in for 2 seconds and
Kajol,
burning it apart, and you have like Janhvi Kapoor, Sara Ali Khan, and Ananya Pandey coming in this. I'm like, kya? Like, what is this? And Varun Dhawan for a half a second, but
Oh yeah,
whatever.
Varun Dhawan also, I forgot about that. Why was
he
he
comes
there?
and blinks his eye. I think that's about it. Right?
No, but then again in that scene, again it's such a small detail to add to the film screenplay, but then he feels embarrassed when
Yes.
his mother comes in, right? And he's
Hmm.
like very embarrassed, and then it becomes a recurring theme later in the film where he's like, even I want to dance, even I want to feel like that in front of my parents, but I could never do that. And that's it's those little things that just work.
That's a very personal detail only, it feels like. And it,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
which thing it reminded me of? Zoya Akhtar shot in Bombay Talkies, where he used to dress as Katrina Kaif. Not him, but like whatever, the other character. So anyways, music was mid, which I think is a problem for a Karan Johar film. I like.
Like it was average.
I'm not aware of the
it's very
limbo.
forgettable.
I like
he's very
Tum Kya Mile.
confidently
I like
said
Tum
it
Kya Mile.
that it will have a...
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if that's what it means, but yes, I agree that for a Karan Johar film, the original album is
He uses the songs pretty well in the film, like other songs.
I like the old songs.
Yes.
But
otherwise, underwhelming.
Also, honestly, the Pujo song was a great opportunity to have like a solid Durgo Pujo song.
Yes. No, but it feels condensed. I think that one. Like, maybe they'll extend it.
There has to be,
That Dindora version is quite average. Not gonna lie.
But that's very weird, because all of his other albums are spectacular. I was listening to the
he's known
K3 Ji ka
for it.
album. I was like, there's not a single song that's bad. Like,
No, but
not a single
Even
song.
up to Aidil hai mushkil. Like he's known for his albums.
Aidil's ka soundtrack, I know, Aryan, you don't like it, but Aidil ka soundtrack, I'm pretty
No,
sure.
that's the only thing I love about that film.
Okay, fine.
Aidil again. My entire thing with Aidil is that SRK has that cheekiness and self-awareness and that fantastic charisma where he's able to juggle between, playful and emotional. But Ranveer is in that film, it is like too serious for its own good. It
Fair
just
enough. But
weighs down.
I think you have the wrong audience. You have the wrong chat. You entered the wrong chat.
No, but since we are on music, I have to bring up this comparison because I don't know even if it makes sense, if it was intentional or not. But again, about course correcting, about the entire self-reflexive cinema or whatever, when it comes to Aditya Chopra and Karan Johar, Rab Ne Bana Di Jodi similarly course corrects through notions of DDLG, that everything that DDLG is normalized. Okay, it literally presents Suri's alter ego and his name is Raj. Okay,
yes.
And when it comes to music, I think both these films are very cleverly tapping into this longing, this melancholic feeling where even in DDLJ, whenever Suri is wanting to or trying to confront his wife, which he is this married, I think it was an arranged marriage, right? The film starts with them marrying.
Arranged, whatever it is. Yes. Yeah.
So throughout the first half of the film, we just get the beginning, like the build up to the theme. Okay, Rab Ne Bana Di Jodi ka main theme, we just get to the build up of it, but we never hear the full song. It's only when what was the name of Anushka Sharma's character?
Tani partner.
Tani, okay. It's only when she sees him as Suri and not as Raj, when we hear
the full
version. Yes. And I think Rocky or Rani is similarly during that entire Delhi monument wala scene. We literally see the old and the new in the same frame. In corners. Okay, it's literally placing, juxtaposing those two things together. And throughout that scene, the soundscape is constantly littered by remixes, old songs. And he's like purely shamelessly using nostalgia to evoke that sentiment. And then literally in the next scene, or I think it follows after a couple of scenes, when Rocky takes Rani to celebrate her birthday, when he goes and he wants to surprise
in that
her.
Blue place.
Yeah, blue place.
I guess that's
and whenever that's when he plans to finally confront her, finally propose to her. And that's the only time in the movie up until that point where we actually hear an original 60s song. And it's played on vinyl. And it's also the scene where Rani genuinely sees through her own facade of, maybe this is not a fling. Maybe this is more, maybe this has something. And that's when she leaves. I think, I don't know if it was intentional or whatever
Must
it
have
was,
been.
but
He uses music very cleverly, I think, in general.
exactly.
And
And if
music
you
is the sort of binding force, I feel, for a lot of his films. Like
precisely, that's what
it connects it sort of breaches, you know, your religious whatever boundaries and all that.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm one of my favorite examples actually is from My Name Is Khan in Noor-e Khuda, where
That
Noor-e
song
Khuda sort
is-
of parallels two people in two different areas, and it sort of, you know, places them together almost with each other. Like it's a poetic sort of connection. So he's good with all that. Karan Johar is a good director. I think we've taken 2 episodes to say this. But yes, anyways, other positives, guys. Ranveer Singh, more thoughts on Ranveer Singh and how good he is.
So like I said, when I watched the trailer, I was just so tired of these chapri characters in Bollywood. I'm like, can I just please get a regular college going rom-com type situation?
Archie's Aryan, huh?
Huh?
Archie's.
I don't think Archie's is that.
That would be
Okay.
just released in South.
Yeah, that's a different. I mean, just neutral. I know neutral is also very biased, but
Yes.
but anyway, I think I was just very tired of this, like how's you and this and that. I was like, yeah, you know. But again, like I said earlier, in the film, Rocky just had me, you know.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's Ranveer Singh's genius, because a lot of these characters are being written nowadays, and so many of the leading like male parts in romantic films are now these like small town boys and all that stuff. But he somehow, and I can't put my finger on how, but somehow like brings in some humanity to him.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
and you know what I noticed in this in my second watch is I think what he does is he embodies the character in every moment of the film, as opposed to embodying it only for comedy, which is a big thing, you know. So like in the scene where he proposes and she's like, "Mujhe ghar jana hai." He's like, she was like, "Tu mujhe ghar drop kar doge?" And he was like, "Yeah, of course." And the way he said it is like, he was still Rocky in the still little weird way, like, you know, it's not really like how you know, it's not like suddenly he's like, "Yeah, of course," like a, you know. I think those things, like seeing that same Tapri character also be emotional in his own way, maybe it's stuff like that, but I honestly don't know what he did.
No, it's
even-
true. But yeah, go ahead, Aryan. Sorry.
Even in the later scene where the entire sequence where she's like, we don't even match ideologically, I don't even know what your political stance is. Okay. And that's when she starts asking him random questions. And when he says that ye tick question tha, agla post, it's like you see him getting restless. It's we are laughing at him, but he thinks that it's
Not
genuine.
funny.
No, I think
Yeah.
with him more than it's easy to laugh at him, but I think he makes it in a way
Yeah.
where it slips into with him. Like
No, but that's the thing. That's the moment where we are literally laughing at him because of his inefficiency. But he, because of his vulnerability, because the character, the way he's playing it, he knows the character. For the character, it's not funny. So because of that vulnerability, that's that instant recognition.
No, that's a very good point, I think. But I was also watching the interview, what you had said, I think, where Karan Johar mentioned that this is basically
he just goes into his headspace. Yeah.
No, this is basically poo. And I was like, I hate that character in K3.
I didn't quite understand that one. Like, what did he mean by that?
That's because in K3G, Poo is Kareena Kapoor, and she is playing that sort of monotone. Like it's a very single wavelength she's playing it at, not ish. Caricature.
Okay.
I think they're going for broad caricature, and I think she plays it pretty committed. And there's one scene in which she breaks into this very Sati Savitri Hindi, and I was like, "What? Why are you speaking this way?" I didn't buy it essentially, but like in this, I think I understand what Johar is saying. Like it is Poo in the sense that he is sort of so into his own like vanity. Like, you know, he can't see beyond that sort of sense of vanity. But in this, he comes to a realization where he begins to see beyond that vanity. And I think Ranveer Singh is great at, you know, it's a very gentle balance, right? If you play it a little too much, it gets really irritating.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
I actually think it's quite a tricky part to play. Also, one thing I would say, despite what I said about Alia Bhatt's performance earlier, is I didn't quite realize this until I saw Karan Johar's interview, where he spoke about how like Rani on paper is actually quite difficult to like. Because she's like, while she stands for all the right things, but she's also very in your face about it, and she can be kind of annoying. So then when I watched it the second time, Gangu leaks aside, I did actually think that Alia
Gangu
actually
leaks. That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a,
more than I like realized, I think she actually also played a very active role in making her likable, despite being this sort of loud-mouthed, extra
No, but
over-opinionated, you know.
absolutely. I think Bharadwaj Rangan, sorry, I'm mentioning like a lot of other people also and their opinions, but he mentioned I think he made a really great point where it was like, she makes us also like Rocky in a way. Like, her presence mediates his presence in a sense. She's amused by him and we kind of see him through her sometimes. And that's actually a really good point because she does sort of allow him, like eases us into his sort of attitude and persona and whatever. And yeah, so I think that was a very astute point.
But I think again, when it comes to the timing of this film and considering everything, putting everything in context, I just as someone who celebrates the movie going experience in the theater, right? I just think this has been a great month for cinema because we literally got to quote unquote original movies breaking the box office and normalizing and actually making an event out of it in Oppenheimer and Barbie. And then the very next week, it's literally this film literally has the potential and to a certain extent has brought back the glory that Bollywood.
I mean, again, the amount of raves I've heard about Karan Johar after, I was like, this is what
I think
I'm
that's
not.
also is the reason behind why a lot of people are over. There's also the fact that there's recency bias. But then again, putting everything in perspective and context, this film has to do well. Because otherwise it would just be remakes and propaganda and again the usual.
This is a form of remake and then re-twisting it, but yes, I agree. What are you saying, Jasmine? Sorry. I'm sorry, I'm pointing my pen like I'm holding it like a chaku or something.
I actually forgot. I mean, I forgot what I was saying, but I think it was along the same lines of the sort of like I enjoyed the song in the snow. And like,
I like Tum Kya Mile. I think it's a pretty. I've got a re-listenable.
So I think I agree with you in the like old school Bollywood before it became over. So while I'm saying that I like cinema for social change, I think most people do it badly.
Yep.
So like Karan Johar's only flaw is that it's too on the nose, which is I'm okay with. As opposed to some other filmmakers who are purposely making for social change and they have a lot of other issues. So like somewhere I feel like in that sense, a certain innocence to Bollywood films, which is primarily love stories and family relationships and music and, with
honest,
moral,
sincere, honest, sincere.
It's not trying to do too much.
I think it's, I mean, again, what you said, I think was very correct in the sense that something like the Dola Re Dola sort of, that image and that moment is more, I hate saying this because I do really like the film, is probably more powerful than something like Thappad and has a bigger reach in a sense, like it changes a lot of things in that. I mean, it's also going for, that's a totally different message these films are going for, of course, but I feel the way this incorporates at least that sort of fluid gender fluidity in a sense, and your sort of kind of almost, I mean, soft masculinity has been a recurring thing.
Oh my god, that was the other thing, which I was talking to you about on the phone, Dhruv. I love that all the men in this film were so sensitive.
In all of his films, that's
all of them, and they were crying. I was like, oh my god, I loved it. I really enjoy that, and even the Jodi.
You said this about the whole feminine side of masculinity, which I think KJo taps into, much better than sort of,
And like speaking of what you were saying about the normalizing, right? So I was joking because I watched with my mom and my grandmom. So after coming back, I was like joking with them that whenever I get married, I'm gonna make my dad and whoever I marry do Dola Re Dola or whatever. But it's like this is how people joke and this is how people talk, and it just becomes a part of pop culture. And then before you know it, people will be recreating it, maybe laughing at it, or maybe because it's funny, but suddenly it's normal and it's okay. And like that's the beauty of how he sort of creates these like pop culture iconic, things.
Yeah.
I mean, he gave us Pooh, so there's that.
I was gonna
don't.
say, you actually stole
Yeah,
the word out of my mouth, because
you
as
please
I said, I was
explain
like,
to me the appeal of poo, because I've never understood it.
I think it's this is a post social media, like Jethalal, basically. I'm literally comparing
Jethalal is a
with
good.
I mean, if you want a real answer, the appeal of poo is confidence. That's it. Girls just like to be like, oh, minus, like, you look at me,
Okay.
like, I mean, it's
Yeah.
fun. And to be fair now, again, I do have a lot of issues with poo.
Yes.
And so like sometimes his pop culture things also work negatively because of that,
Of course. Yeah.
But on the bright side of poo, I do think that up until now, I can't remember if he was the first one to do it, maybe not. But I do think that he sort of normalized like a girl picking and like not being a sort of as much of a damsel in distress and obedient girl, and being more like opinionated. So I think
Fair
that's
enough.
what struck a
No,
chord.
that's fair enough. I mean, I prefer the sort of Anjali fieriness, I suppose, in Kajol, because she's also a very fiery character, at least in the first half. So yeah.
I think,
So I just like,
honestly, after having watched Rocky or Rani and after having recently has watched
Yes.
his two like OG films,
I
just
mean,
genuinely
Kal
think
Ho Na
that
Ho is directed by Nikhil Advani,
whatever
quote
we all-
unquote directed.
But see, the thing is that Rocky or Rani genuinely misses those spatial connections, like the one that we got in Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna. Like the train station is supposed to be the place where they meet. I know everyone has been going gaga over the costume designing and the production designing in this film, but just rewatch his older films. It's the way the costumes blend into the production design. It's seamless. It is seamless. I think
You
that
are
kind
saying
of
this.
speciality.
I have to bring this K3G up thing again. Sorry, but last time, after that, I won't. But legitimately, Amitabh Bachchan wears a turtleneck throughout almost the whole thing. And the turtleneck makes him look more intimidating than the other people. Like, it really covers his whole persona. Like, he feels like this, blanketed, really sadhu type. I mean, sadhu is the correct word. And then all the younger people have these sort of more, I know I might be overreading because I was in that sort of zone, but everyone else is wearing like a V-neck. I'm like, is this some decision taken by?
I do think these are conscious decisions. Also,
Yeah,
I think like is more interested in costumes anyway. Like, he's
aesthetics basically.
Yeah, and
I mean, the costuming of Ranveer Singh in this, I think, is fantastic. Also, like the way it sort of uses that to accentuate his personality, like his sort of whatever male.
Rani, though I love her saris, does look like she's going to a dance bar every day. But I love the saris.
After giving fiery comebacks to politicians.
But I think, oh my god, the other thing that I thought was so hilarious, but I kind of liked, was like every time Rani puts someone in her place, there's like this
my god, the rap
of like Ami Rani, like
I was like, lay off that, Karan, please. But that's
funny.
my personal thing. But yeah, any other thoughts on Rocky or Rani, guys, before I jump off more into K3G? I won't. No worry. This is not a K3G episode.
So please, I need more motivation I'll watch 3 films.
No, please, you'll die.
3.5.
Actually, you won't die. The first half of K3G is...
I'll die with your
mentality.
I'm trying to think what else, if there's anything else. Like,
what about the supporting characters' performances? The one thing actually I'll mention is that I thought the second half short shrift a little bit of the older love story, which I thought was quite lovely. In the first half.
Totally. That just sort of,
that became the catalyst for everything else. I wished it remained like a consistent presence throughout.
No, exactly. I loved that they did not just sideline it like because that's what happened in all his other films. Like,
but second half में नहीं किया था. In second half.
But it does end up becoming a catalyst.
Yes.
The entire
but he does the older stuff in others, and then does kind of just bury them a little bit. The Kiran Kher and I think Amitabh Bachchan and Kank is sort of a side thing that just remains a side thing, like too much of a side thing.
That's what I was worried about. Thank God that didn't happen. And another thing is that I love how every Karan Johar film, I don't even remember so let's just forget that. But
we can't.
Karan Johar movie literally has the same structure when it comes to the 3-act structure. Every movie has the same narrative beat structure, and every movie will have a third act death that will act like a
yes.
catalyst.
That's so funny.
Every movie, literally every movie. And I was
Yeah.
just thinking while watching this because I remembered in my head, even though I'd never
Oh
watched
yeah,
any of
now
his films
see,
apart from
this is what you will bring to
literally
this because
happens
I
in
have
every
no
movie.
idea. Because Kank mein I never thought.
No, listen.
Yeah.
Tank mein there is
In
Amitabh
Aryan,
Bachchan
please,
there.
in Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, the death was in the first.
Oh, while watching Kank yesterday, I was like, oh, is this supposed to be a flashback? Why is like, how has the car hit SRK right in the first act of the movie? Is it supposed
Acha,
to
you
be?
thought SRK will die? No.
I thought flashback hoga kuch
Shah Rukh
jab
Khan
tak
in,
hai jaan types.
in KJo movies doesn't die, no? He can't.
Oh, right, yeah.
Only
Yeah.
Nikhil Advani.
Nikhil
Yeah.
Advani, yeah.
I mean, but he's not Shah Rukh Khan in that. He's Jesus. He has to die. Yes.
Oh, don't mention that.
He is Jesus, though. You sent me the screenshot of him appearing as the snow appears, and like he's literally appearing when they're praying to Jesus.
But that scene, oh my god, that the way that scene is shot and composed and blocked. Oh my god.
So before we deviate into other KJo films, any final thoughts on Rani, guys?
I just hope that he doesn't go on another long hiatus and that he incorporates better music into his next film.
He's doing Takht, no? Next. Takht, I'm very curious to see him direct.
That's supposed to be his passion project.
But it'll be good. I think he'll suit that sensibility, I feel. Like that sort of grand, whatever.
I also do think he's going through some kind of like phase of being obsessed with Bhansali.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that because I'm not a big Bhansali fan.
My only concern with Takht is
that he'll be too enamored by scale and not by character.
Too enamored by Bhansali. Like I honestly think that he's going through some phase of like he thinks that that's the best thing, you know. And I'm a big Bhansali fan, but I'm a big Bhansali fan, but that's Bhansali's strength, you know. And KJo's strength, in fact, I feel like is in more like sort of comedy and like bringing emotion.
Character
and, like,
relations is I think as you said.
I think it's all about for KJo.
All about family.
All about
having your family.
It's all about filming and structuring melodramatic moments and treating them like action scenes. I mean, I was watching that Kank. I was watching Kank earlier this morning, and that entire scene in the middle of the street where he's bringing flowers for Rani.
Oh, I hate that scene, Aryan.
And it's
yeah.
That's Ekta Kapoor.
That is an action scene. It's
a bad
not
one.
a
I might
dramatic.
I
like
it.
I love
I thought I think it's too like Ekta Kapoor. I'm like TV show like
that was another.
So are the background music effects.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people actually felt about Rocky or Rani was they felt like it was a TV series, daily soap.
Thoda hai, I mean, not daily soap, but K3G and Mohabbatein have this celestial connection of thunderstorms ka background score, where it's like anytime someone is like, and they're like dun 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 dun, whatever. I don't know how the thunder goes, but like, yeah, I'm like, theek hai, but like you've got great actors, they're selling it all. You don't need the thunder, or you can just do the whatever that is. Like that's a great whatever sound cue to.
I used to be obsessed with Mohabbatein as a kid.
Mohabbatein hasn't aged as well. To be just,
I need to rewatch
it in a long time, but again, it's one of those films that I can watch in my own head. I don't need it.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't aged well means Uday Chopra and Shamita Shetty haven't aged well, really. Apart from that, it's good, I think. Unless you have trouble in buying that Shah Rukh Khan's dead girlfriend comes as a ghost occasionally you dance to.
Why do I look like I have trouble buying that? I'm like that character from Om Shanti Om, where she's like, "Tum hawa pe daudte ho."
Oh, you're Sandy from.
Sandy, Sandy.
I've just rewatched Om Shanti Om also. Sorry, I'm a Bollywood.
I need to rewatch that because
Om Shanti Om is spectacular.
It is.
Yeah.
But whenever I was while I was rewatching these SRK films, I was just thinking that out of all the phases that he's had in his career as an actor, the worst one has to be when he constantly appeared in Rohit Shetty and Farah Khan movies. Because I'm sorry,
Farah
Chennai
Khan
Express.
Movies. She's good in Farah Khan movies.
Happy New Year.
Well, Farah Khan,
right?
Farah Khan kind of just she's I don't want to say she lost her mind, but she's definitely lost some
is
things.
the only great.
Oh, Main Hoon Na
I think is great also, but whatever.
You know, once I was doing some
arguable,
research
you can do that.
I was doing some research for a project, and I typed like most well-known Indian soldiers, and Major Ram's photo came on Google.
Wow.
Which
I still think naming him Major Ram and having Shah Rukh Khan as the main character and making the whole film Ramayana is some masterstroke of 2000s filmmaking one day. Like, you can't get away with that now. People will come and burn the theaters down. Like making Ramayana and casting Shah Rukh Khan as the Ram figure. That's not happening now.
My name is Khan.
My name is
But
Khan.
yeah.
You know, there's a Mehuna. He says
My name is
Mehuna in
Ram.
K3G also. Like actually, like it transitions to a scene.
Yeah.
He's like Mehuna.
I remember that. Yeah. Which scene was that?
This is so I don't. Okay, we'll
You
get
don't
to this
remember?
later. I remember, but I
What?
don't want to get too entangled in K3G.
Oh, you think? I think it's too late.
No, I think it's when Kajol is talking to her father and they're like, "Aapse zyada mujhe koi aur pyar nahi kar payega," or something like that. Then it cuts to him coming in a car and telling Rani Mukherjee, "Main hoon na." So it's like that sort of yes.
Sorry, my
Hope
belt
you
is
have. Yeah. Hope. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go. So thank you, Jasmine, for being here. Bye. We have. I'm so lost. Why does Jasmine have an? She was an NY. Never mind. Thank you so much for listening to the episode. Hope you learned more about Karan Johar if you haven't already. This has essentially become KJo episode.
Consider this your invite to the cult of KJo,
Cult, yeah,
because
yeah.
I have very successfully been brainwashed.
Good.
And I might go and rewatch K3, which I don't remember a lot of. Surprisingly.
Once you rewatch it, you'll remember it like I am, like in every 2-3 seconds now. But yes, thank you so much for listening. You can follow Aryan at Aryan Talks Film on Instagram if you want. Jasmine is at Jasmin A Singh on Instagram. Jasmine is back. Hi, Jasmine. Bye, Jasmine. Because we are ending. Next time Jasmine will join us after 4 years, 3 years, when she either becomes a director or makes something or KJo is making anything else.
KJo,
so.
yeah. So the next time we see is either when I've directed something or when KJo's directed something.
Yes. So either or. Oh, because I can't call you to talk about Vikramaditya stuff.
Yeah,
right? So,
I will be extremely biased. And and on the record, he's the best.
Yes. We will put this in the episode. You can share it to him also.
My loyalty is unabashed.
तुम शिफ्ट कर रही हो वाह और मुझसे पूछने की जरूरत तो थी नहीं